Hey, everyone. Welcome to Bardic Conversations. Public Bardic Conversations where we're going to talk about freaking the last episode and everything that's happened so far. We're just going to fucking jump into it.
Welcome.
Yeah, I am...
Welcome to Behind the Paywall.
Yeah.
A little glimpse into your future.
Oh, God.
Yeah, pretty cool,
Give
right?
us money and
I am
you get
not
this.
your Dungeon Master, just a guy, B. Felons, and I'm joined by my friends. You gotta introduce yourself, so we do that, I think.
Oh, you have friends.
You
Yeah.
fucks. God.
I'm Will, and in the aforementioned pod, I play Saren.
What's up? It's Fuse. In that same podcast that Will mentioned, I play Bilbin Billings.
I'm Dart, and in the podcast that we apparently are all part of, I am playing Arthur Page Llewellyn.
I'm Shay, and I play a wizard named Oz.
Yeah, you do, buddy.
Wait, can you flip that to the past tense, Mr. O'Shea?
Up until this point, have played a wizard named Oz.
Yeah.
He'll
There
be
it is.
back, gang. No worries. We don't know when because babies are real, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
20 seasons later, Shay makes an appearance.
Wait, what? Babies are real?
Babies are real, and not just in the game. It's crazy.
Yeah.
In the season,
yeah.
in the series finale of No Bards Allowed, Shay is the final boss.
Yo, and honestly,
That'd be
how did you
awesome.
figure it out?
That'd be really cool, actually.
Hell yeah! Thanks for tuning in to a special episode. It's a posted on the places you stream. But this is kind of be a little longer for him than most of our Bardic Conversations. But yeah, we're gonna recap episode 19, and then we're gonna talk to just about everything that's happened so far. We're all looking at what we just finished as kind of like the first arc of the campaign, we'll say. So. But before we get into broader strokes, let's talk about a really long episode.
Oh, I have
frankly.
nothing to say. It was pretty normal.
Yeah.
Straightforward.
Who I feel like we always like take a break in between recording episodes in the Bardics, and then we like talk about so much shit. But what do people want to talk about? There was a lot that happened in that episode.
Oh my God.
I actually really appreciate Bilbin's confidence that he can get a better deal always.
It's not realistic.
He did all right. He did fine.
As someone whose second best stat is charisma, I still don't know how to use that.
For someone who like grew up in the city of New Samaritan and is like very well, like not only does Bilbin know these people, but Bilbin's mom knows these people, and he's still like, I'm gonna
whatever.
Well, and again, I want to be very clear about one thing: is that the way that the dice rolled on my side of the table for that whole interaction, Bilbin definitely got the discount because of Catwin, not because of Bilbin.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah. So shout out to Catwin Billings.
The vibe of Bilbin just simply listening to the DM say, "You're not going to get a better deal," and then being like, "Nah, let's go with it anyways," is just truly admirable confidence.
Which was in the wildest part of like leaving and going to Malfi's, which who knows? I can't wait to listen back and figure out what I first said his name was.
None of us can actually remember
Malfi?
anymore.
I don't think I said Malfi at first. I might have.
There was at least one more
the
syllable.
first time. Because I felt like the first time I kept thinking about Mephits in my head, and I was like, his name can't just be Mephits. That'd be weird.
Might have been like
That would be funny.
like Melforoy's.
If he was just 3 Mephits in a trench coat.
Honestly, and but I've already made that joke a couple times on here.
Yeah.
It's never old.
That's
It
true.
never gets old.
I agree.
What is it?
Anything
Three-
in a trench coat?
3
is
something
fun.
in a trench boat was the first one.
Oh, yeah.
trench boat.
It was 3 half pints in a trench boat.
That's what it was.
Because they were. I think it was like a gnome, a goblin, and a halfling or something like that.
Oh, that was a bar.
There were 3.
It was the 3 guys who
familiar-
hung out at the bar
there were
in
3,
Dublin.
Yeah, there were 3 familiar sailors at the bar.
Oh, yeah. Right.
And
3 half
whoever
pints in
I
a
think
trench boat.
whoever helped rebuild the bar too, like they were
Yes.
there.
Definitely Bilbin.
They were there, like arguing about what the best way to do it was, just slowing everything down. It was
Right.
yeah, perfect.
Just the best kind of regulars.
Yeah, Bilbin, you got a cool helm though. You had to spend a lot of gold on it, but you did get a cool helm.
I think
Some
it's
of
going to be
mine,
worth it.
which I have marked.
Yes, thank you. I think it's going to be worth it.
Yeah, well, and you don't need to give that gold to the Fatefather now because you have a cool deal in place. So
Exactly.
Yeah, I have a deal that could revive the Douse House
Or crush it forever.
potentially send me to the Shadow Realm forever. which who knows?
Either one would be pretty cool.
What do you guys think? Is he like a demon thing?
No, he's just a guy.
But I
Hey.
signed a contract that was magic that appeared in front of me.
All
He's
I know
just a
is
guy, dude.
to revive the Douse House, all we have to do is deliver a poor little herringon woman to her death.
Which
Yeah,
I
which-
think low key
yeah.
above the table. I'm like, maybe we just not bring her back. Maybe
Well-
she's cool.
You signed a contract.
But he said if you can bring her back, more money.
Right.
So maybe we could be like, sorry, she like.
That is true. I will say that is true. You don't have to bring her back. You just won't.
you just
Your
say that
situation
you
will
killed
be
her.
only half
Well, maybe
fixed
not
at
say
that
that.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah, because basically it was like, we'll give you a lot of gold, but not enough to bail you out.
Hey, Arthur's and Saren's names aren't written on this
Aren't-
soul-binding
Thank God.
document.
Yeah, I definitely bound my
so-
soul to that. Fuck me, dude.
I also don't know.
It was
like,
awesome.
For the record, and I don't know what weight this carries, but like, neither of our full names were given. Partially because none of you know my full name, but like,
I did that on
neither
purpose,
of our
though.
full names were given, so I don't know how binding that would necessarily be.
I think you said to
I said first
to
names
the
only.
Faith Father. Did you say Arthur Page?
It was
No,
just- it
he
was
just said Arthur.
I
It was
said
just
Saren
Arthur.
and
Okay.
Arthur because I was wary of like what he might. I was
Yeah.
like,
Well,
I didn't
then he
say
doesn't
Oz
know
because I
that-
know Oz is doing his thing. Yeah.
I'm Arthur Page Llewellyn, and you're Saren Llewellyn.
right,
He doesn't
so
know
like,
that.
which is
Sarah
definitely
Page
my
Llewellyn.
That's your
birth
last
given
name.
name.
I wanted to give like a little like
It is
less
now.
information
now.
because he asked for names, so I gave him names, but I didn't want to just put all of my cards on the table because it could be just random Arthur and random Saren. Who knows? Who knows who they
love
are?
those guys.
I think he's probably just like a nice guy that looks out for his community and likes to invest money into small businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But is he
without paying
behind?
taxes?
Is he behind the killing of the Vox?
I don't think so.
Hard to say.
Not a
People like that
chance.
don't want to upset the order of things because they benefit from the order. So whoever did this
truly.
is someone who
You
is
think so? You think
either
it's-
so powerful that they are not subjected to that like hierarchy, or it's someone who is truly just here to cause chaos.
And I think that Ava is a red herring for somebody who
agree.
did it.
I don't
so.
think Ava's
Here's the thing, though.
guilty in this.
I think
particular.
she's being controlled. Maybe.
maybe, but like with the
There's-
rehabilitation center, like
I have a feeling that she has like either some kind of like mind wipe spell placed on her or something because she like doesn't. When we were interacting with her, like her like history with her brother and stuff, she didn't like feel very.
yeah,
I feel like there's some kind of mind alteration spell going on there, and then I also think that whoever's controlling that or doing that to her could be someone that we haven't met.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I don't know.
That's my theory.
feel like the Vox being taken into the rehabilitation center might make him come back alive in some way.
Ooh.
I don't know. There's like some sort of like people who go in do come out. So it's like maybe
right.
maybe
But
it's gonna be
normally
like
the people
a-
that go in
gonna
weren't
get
just hit by a
resurrected.
9th level spell. So
all I'm saying is like yes, we saw him fall, but like what did they said he died,
no
right?
body, no crime.
It was announced. Yeah, you all got a message that said that the Vox was.
But the government said that.
The government
And
did
we
say
don't
that.
trust
The
the
man
government.
said that.
The man did say that.
And he got brought into the rehabilitation center, bro. Dude, there's
Yeah, they're right there.
well, but like, dude, come on. Everyone who
Well,
goes in there comes
he
out
clearly
different.
died because that big sword cut him on his foot and smited him for a bunch of damage.
The
You mean
scissors?
the
He was
scissors?
certainly
Scissors, yeah.
dead.
The great scissors.
Yeah,
I love the idea of giant scissors being a great sword, but it's just great scissors.
The righteous scissors of severing.
Two-handed
Yes.
weapon.
Smite +3 smiting.
Yeah, it's a two-handed weapon that's only, but you roll with disadvantage unless you're a creature of huge or larger size.
Yeah.
It's like wielding two great swords in one.
It's
Yeah.
disadvantage
So it's
unless you're running.
2d6.
It's a Final Fantasy.
You know, like
weapon.
running with scissors.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that was yeah. You saw the Vox though; he existed for a moment.
Crazy. And also, the idea of somebody pickpocketing the cleric of their diamonds
Diabolical,
is
dude.
so cool. And I was like, motherfucker.
I mean, maybe it's Wix.
That's also terrifying because whoever did it is really smart.
maybe it's Wix.
Evil stuff is bad.
Evil
like-
stuff is cool.
Wix we know is a master thief.
Yeah, but you also know Wix has already been on the road.
Already
so
been on
so
the road.
the road to
Yeah.
so Wix is traveling like on foot or however from New Samaritan to Breakwater. The only reason
Allegedly.
now you know the Faith Father wasn't concerned because he had a teleportation circle where he could directly port you there. Whereas like assuming you're gonna find her there, she has been on the road probably for a few days at this point.
Wix also feels like, I mean, small potatoes in the grand scheme of things. Like I don't think Wix like has the agenda or the means to.
And you got a little insight on a nat 20 from Tamantha. You got a little insight into not a ton of information, but like you learned about Wix in a very like human perspective, we'll call it, where it's like, oh, cool, this is a person. Like they're somebody who, I've like grabbed drinks with, and they seemed fun, and like, they might be a little bit of a thief, it seems, but like, Tamantha wasn't like, oh, this scary person. Tamantha was like, oh, this person that I hang
alludes to the thing of like, probably more of a petty thief, probably not necessarily entangled in whatever high echelon shit is going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But also interesting that somebody as noteworthy as the Fae Father is specifically looking for her.
Yeah,
well, specifically looking for what she has. Which could easily, like,
why was she the one contracted to get this thing?
Correct.
If assuming she was probably contracted for it.
Yeah, I also feel like, though, it could just be like one of those things where it's like, especially in like with the mafia vibes, it's like, hey, this thing is not make or break for me, but I'm gonna make a point out of this.
Yeah, that's fair.
There has to be a mafia in the big city. I feel like it's just like I was like the family had to exist. Because the pun was fun when I thought of it, but they're in a city, especially in a city where like you think of like, classic mafia, like, the Guardians exist, but like there's crooked cops and shit. So it's like, of course they're still able to operate in some capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Guardians are targeting, some version of day-to-day citizens, more or less. So, freaking crazy. Pardon me. What even else happened?
Well, just a lot of emotional damage.
Yeah, a lot of emotional damage, Oz.
Oh, man. Yeah.
You really freaking got us. I was crying a lot over here.
Yeah, fuck those letters, dude.
I love those letters, man.
Yeah, they were sick. They were so good, man.
Yeah.
Also, just Oz having a little like awareness about what each character was going through that like wasn't necessarily apparent at the table. Like felt nice. I mean, felt bad, but felt nice.
Yeah, I mean, he's a man who pays attention to details.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't necessarily show his cards all the time, but
someone who's constantly on the hunt for knowledge, like being aware of the things around you, but also like seeking better understanding of the people around you. I feel like is in line with all that.
Yeah. Like I said before, I just wanted to have a way for him to do his own way, or say goodbye on his own way, and writing something, a personal letter to each of his compatriots felt right.
It was good. Yeah, it was nice. Yeah, you slipped out in the night, but you had a lot of kind words for everyone, and the moment of I was so cool. I was just super pumped when you made the choice to fall asleep reading a letter to your dad, because I was like, oh, cool. I would really like to run something with your father in like a dream state or a memory state. So that was such a fun moment. And yeah, man, I'm excited for Oz to come back at some point. It's been a cool journey so far. And, for me, like planning the game, like we're all telling the story together, but obviously I've got, little Easter eggs I'm trying to put in and like things to lay the groundwork. And there are things that I had already planned or thought of for, a while from now for Oz's character. And while we probably won't get to all of those things now at this point, I'm excited for when Oz comes back and we can hopefully tackle some of the other cool things that Oz is working on. Yeah, man, you got trials to do while you're in Bastion. There's a lot of cool things to uncover probably. And then there's, that treasure that you have notes on still is out there. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to find it without you, but
shit, maybe.
We're going to beat him.
With like no info. But it was really fun it was a long episode, but it was a lot happened, and it was nice to be able to, have as the party changes a little bit and moves into a new space. It was not really nice to have awesome moments. And like, Oz had different relationships with every other PC in the campaign. So it was fun to see the different ways that, you said your goodbyes. And like, even like, I loved like over drinks, like it was a hard conversation. And like, I think the honey hole scene was there. A number of the honey hole was hilarious to me. And also took like a very somber tone at some point, but in a cool way. It was, like information was shared and, but like Bilbin and Oz getting to have a moment of, even if you don't see it eye to eye, like respecting each other as people. And like, I loved all that shit. It was really cool.
Yeah, I feel like Bilbin taking like a second, like after a day of recollection, he was able to like kind of filter his anger towards Oz's reaction and then approach it in more of like a, I don't know, respectful way. So, but it seems to be Bilbin's nature to like react such as fire very abruptly and then perhaps dial it back and realize like, oh, like let me apologize, let me do whatever. But it was cool to have an episode that it might have been one of our more serious episodes. It felt very like
we've had more
understandably.
Recently too. Yeah. It was
or it felt
one of the
maybe
reasons.
emotionally and like sentimentally serious maybe.
Yeah,
Sure. Yeah.
it was good. Yeah, and then dude, you and Malfi became best friends. It was awesome.
Me and Malfi did not become best friends, but I respect the hell out of that man. Holy shit.
Dude, he's just a guy trying to make a living,
Well, and I'm trying to get a good deal over here. Come on.
and he wasn't going to let you have it.
And I respect that.
I wish I could be best friends with him now because he was awesome.
What a fun NPC to fucking come up with on the spot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Applause to you. That was a fun NPC.
I am grateful that as we continue on with our amateur entertainer mantra, I am at least getting a little more comfortable improvising off the cuff NPCs and fucking coming up with names for them. Like that freaking Stroopwafel guy. I loved him. That was a nice little moment.
Torner?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
Torner.
Oh, I have his name written down. He's never going to leave my mind.
Well, those Stroopwafels were fucking delicious.
Oh,
so.
I can taste them.
Hell yeah.
We're selling Stroopwafels in our shop, by the way. You can go to our website and imagine.
They'll arrive in 5 to 7 business weeks.
Yes.
It's just the ones that Delta Airlines carries on their fucking
Correct.
Yeah.
snacks. Yeah.
Yeah, we
For
cannot guarantee
The Arc
freshness.
2 premiere, there's a pop-up where we just sell Stroopwafels.
It'd be
Yeah,
kind of
it's
sick.
Freaking awesome. Also, the Faybird, little Jungle Bird
Yeah,
clarified
baby.
cocktail.
Nice
Yeah,
call
dude.
there.
Everyone
That
else
was
drank
cool.
a really delicious clarified cocktail at
Yeah.
a bar that you were all pretty suspect about, except Bilbin, who honestly I respect your
Listen,
willingness to go for the house special.
got to go with the local brew, Whether it's milk with honey and alcohol. And now we found out Bilbin is lactose intolerant.
Certainly should not drink any more milk.
Definitely has an allergy. Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone does a little bit, but especially Bilbin.
I think
I should have had 3.
I think the most important question, though, of the night was, do you think Bilbin shit himself?
Yeah, did you make it to the bathroom every time that you had to make your way on those are you going to roll for it?
Yeah,
All
roll
right, here
to
we go.
shit yourself?
DC's 5.
I rolled in that one. I definitely shit myself.
Okay, follow-up question.
Incredible.
Proof.
Follow-up question.
That's lovely.
Definitely, that is. First off, I was rolling all bad today. I'm glad this one
Yeah,
was in that
that
one
feels
because
right.
I definitely shit
You
myself.
had a lot of like 5 and below rolls on D20 today. It was unreal, honestly.
Is this what it's like being on this side of the room?
Yeah.
Is it-
Hey, follow-up, though, like, given the Douse House situation, have they been paying their water bill?
I'm just not a books guy. I'm honestly not sure. And we use a lot of water because
Oh, you
we
certainly
fight
were
fires.
last night, so.
I'm hoping we do. I don't know. Maybe I ask when I'm back.
Yeah, you think that Austin Themothoris probably is keeping up with the books a little bit.
Which
Thank
is
God I don't have to hear those names anymore.
on the record, Dart's favorite character.
Yeah. Well, I love him as a guy. As a guy, he's 100 out of 100 in my opinion.
Name terrible.
It's
So
awful
funny.
name, really. That's on his parents though. That's on
Yeah,
them.
that's on no one but his
They-
parents, right?
It's on I feel like it's just like that. Something about that neighborhood in New Samaritan City got established as just the weirdest common names. Like, I think unfortunately those are common names. Like the Stevis that you met in Demerara the doing the cup games probably also is just from New Samaritan and like just a common name.
There it is.
Not because I just fucked up and like used the same name twice. Could have been it.
Hey,
Nah.
but it's a
Well,
great
that
name.
is a lore canonical thing already.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Well,
Will, you were saying, did you have like a theory you were gonna tell me off pod that you
Will
wanted
always
to?
has theories.
I don't know. Did I?
Yeah,
Probably.
we were in Will's kitchen and he was like started to tell me something while we were taking a break between recording the episode. We're recording episode 19 and 20 on the same day. Look behind the fucking screen. There you go. Congrats.
19 and 20.
You did it.
We recorded 19
we're all
and
wearing
20
the
on the
same
same day.
clothes
Well, I guess
as
this
we
is
were
20.
before.
Well,
Yeah,
this was in
yeah.
20, but it's the 20th
Yeah.
thing we've recorded.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. You started saying something and you were like, I'm going to save it. And
You know,
then-
I think it was a bigger theme thing. If it comes up again, I'm sure I'll remember.
Okay,
But
cool. Anyone have anything else they want to talk about episode 19 specifically before we jump into some broader strokes here?
I do want to tell you the scrolls that you got too.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Also, DM, this could be up to you, but I did get 20 spell scrolls, and the spells are first level, and with the feat of Order of the Scribes, it takes me like 2 minutes to copy down a level
You have
1
to
spell.
use a spell slot to
Jesus.
copy them, though?
No,
Is it a
I had
number?
to have the spell prepared in my book.
Fuck it. I don't know.
And how much gold does it cost per spell?
Shoot.
I mean, probably whatever you spend on
That's the one thing. I would
materials.
assume there's like a cost associated with copying it down.
It's
But
like
with
a-
scribes, it's halved, right?
It takes 2 minutes per level spell to copy down.
What scrolls we got, Oz?
It depends on how many
Scroll
the
of
DM lets me do.
Finger of Death.
Yeah, what is the... Yeah, let's figure out the
First
cost.
level finger of death. It's just a tickle.
Scroll Scroll of Tickle of Death. They roll a d20, and if they roll a 5 or below, they die. That'd be kind of cool.
still pretty high odds for instant death.
Dude. I'll take it, dude. What about Scroll of honey hole drink, house drink?
On a quick look up, it looks like it's 25 gold pieces per spell level. So I would say
right.
that, and then I would just ask you as a player of the game. I think you came into some gold, obviously, but I would also ask you to, be realistic about how much gold Oz is actually gonna like. Oz probably wouldn't bankrupt himself in order to give spell scrolls as a
for
gift.
sure.
So I would say 25 gold pieces per spell level that you're gonna imbue.
No, Oz understands that he mechanically no longer needs gold, so he's gonna spend all of it.
Oz is still alive and well in this
No,
world.
He's on
Oz
a
knows
well-funded
He doesn't need money
research
anymore.
trip.
Yeah, there you go. He's selling all his possessions and going.
I would say
into
more
the field of
realistically, like,
education.
Oz bought all these materials. Some of these materials will be for his journey, not like
Right. I would say he would
No,
he
he
would
doesn't need
scribe
it
5
anymore.
spells.
Cool.
So
Great.
I'm gonna use 125 gold.
Beautiful.
Still less money than I spent on Bilbin.
And it's way less money
More
than
money than I spent
on
on
Bilbin.
And yeah, I mean, like he left these with you, and then you can do with them with what you will. But it's where are my spells? Okay, prepared spells, mind you. He leaves with you 3 identify spells
Nice.
and 2 invisibility spells.
Ooh.
Or sorry,
that's
it's
second
1 invisibility spell.
There you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
I will. I'll say this too, Fuse. Just to, I haven't created the actual like item card or whatever for you yet, but the one extra benefit of that helmet is protection from energy is usually a concentration spell. You do not have to hold concentration on that.
Ah, that is much cooler.
Very cool.
So it is an hour of resistance to fire when you cast it.
Regardless of concentration. Cool.
Sick.
Makes sense for a barbarian.
Yep. I will use that.
I hope so. You spent a lot of money on it. This is what I wanted
so
to talk
did
about.
Arthur.
I will say, so the $500 option that you passed over on was
Don't tell me.
it was cool. It was like, I don't think as cool as that, but that's the reason why it was. So it wasn't magical in any way. The way that it would have functioned was that if you basically one time, if you got crit on in combat, you could cancel a crit with the helmet. But
Sick.
that would the whole thing of where she said like the helmet would dent you if it could repaired. When you used it, you would have to get it repaired. It would have been it would be like a low cost repair. But like that item was a basically like crit canceller, one time use, and then like a small, find a smith and like get it fixed to be able to cancel and for it to be able to be used functionally again. So
We're going back. We gotta get it too.
I
Wait,
do
was
love
there,
a crit cancel.
Was there any resistance to shelf damage?
fire damage.
No, on that helm.
No.
'Cause-
Yeah, you wouldn't have taken any shelf damage if you'd gotten
No
that. That's
shelf
crazy.
damage.
Dude, that's a magic item.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
No shelf damage.
Shelves are the big
Shelf
bad
immunity.
in this campaign, after all.
Absolutely.
I mean,
they
books.
are.
Come on.
Well, heck yeah. Well, that's episode 19. I think we're gonna spend the rest of the time talking about kind of the campaign so far. I assume if you're listening to this episode, you've probably listened to the first 19 episodes. If not,
This is a great place to start.
just jump in
Spoilers.
here. You can just jump in right on the second part of this campaign.
Continuity's overrated. Plot boring. Development. We don't do that anyways. So
Unnecessary.
Yeah, because we're amateurs. We don't know
we're
how.
amateurs. So
Yeah, that
might
Oz
as well
character
start
sucked.
here. Shuffle it.
Who's
you know?
Oz, dude? They're not even gonna know who you're talking
We
about.
don't- yeah.
Yeah.
But
worthless.
yeah, I mean, I think the first thing, we've been, we've been recording episodes for a while, and I feel like it's been fun to. Yeah, this game was cool. It started as all of us, 4 of the 5 of us playing in the same home game for forever, and had all played D&D together a bit, and I think we just decided to. Try something new. Will luckily has a nice setup for us to be able to record and edit and everything like that. And so, it's been really fun to get into the game. And I started working on just like the bigger idea of like Bordora and all of its lore and stuff a while ago. And it's been really cool to get into it and go from, modules are awesome and they're cool. And this is way crazy. Like,
Yeah, fuck me. Call me out.
No,
Call me out, dude.
no, I'm saying like,
You barely use a module. You literally
Contextually,
do so much shit.
our home game is very loosely running through Rime of the Frost Maiden.
Yeah.
And by very loosely, I mean sometimes I look at a page.
Sometimes. What's that town called? That's about as much of the modules we use.
And it's also the most boring part of it. There's a lot of cool. Okay, I will say, plug fucking Rime of the Frost Maiden. One of the coolest modules you can get. It's
we've had
very
a
cool.
lot of fun. It's been really fun.
And
to
even
play.
running it just straight up true to book is super cool. I think that's one of the cooler ones, like that and Curse of Strahd.
Yeah.
They rip. Chris Perkins is a genius.
Well,
Like,
I'm jealous of modules because it's like, they had a team of really incredible long-term D&D players creating a thing, and it's like, we're just 5 people that are like, well, I
Let's-
came up with a map and some stuff, and you guys are like, well, I guess
Yeah,
we'll make
let's
characters
go.
and figure it out. So it's been fun to go from day one being like, I don't know, and then now it feels
now
like
we're
we're
in
like
a new city, and
feels like a real campaign. I hope. I don't know.
Well, it's fun watching like the
think so.
clusterfuck of like as we go, it's like homebrewed world, homebrewed pantheon, all these characters that we all made separately, like Saren using a fucking like the witch class from Worlds
Yes.
Beyond Number,
Yes.
and then like you start mixing in like homebrew magic items, and like it's like all of a sudden like we have a whole other untamable beast on our hands that's just like snowballing out of our control at all times.
Yeah,
Pretty awesome.
Homebrewed race for Dart. Yeah, I mean, it's like
Yeah.
it's lots of, and then Fuse is a paladin human.
Dude, yes. And I
you
chose that.
use as a white man.
I am a white blonde man that is a firefighter.
You gotta have at least
gotta have
one
one.
white man
One
in every
token white man.
campaign. Otherwise, it's not believable.
But no, it's it's
But I'm
fun.
also a barbarian, which makes crazy sense.
Even
Sorry, you're a
more
mad white man?
No, that's never happened before.
Dude, you becoming a barbarian was crazy. Yeah, I guess that. Yeah, I feel like. Yeah, and speaking of that, because you becoming a barbarian was one of I felt like I put you through the ringer for weeks.
Oh, dude.
kind of having a picture of what I felt like I needed you to experience in order to make a leap like that. But yeah, that was one of my favorite moments so far. What are some favorite moments of the game so far?
I mean, like the whole like Douse House flop and like
What do you mean?
Bilbin
man?
and Oz's tension a couple episodes ago was like fucking tight. Like that was
That
I
was
love
probably
inter-party tension.
that was probably Bilbin's player character Fuse, his favorite part of the his
You
favorite
can just
part.
say my.
Oh yeah, my. That's my favorite part because genuinely I was like as Fuse, I was like, "Oh, we're going to get the Douse House back together. Like let's go. Like yeah, these random adventurers are sort of on board, but like also yeah, they're on board." And then when Oz like had that aside was like, "Dude, obviously you can't save shit and like this Guardians of Salvation, they're doing their job." And it's like, "Oh, dude, it brought me down to like a moment where I was like even reflecting as Bilbin as like, oh yeah, maybe Bilbin needs to realize that it's not what it's cracked up to be." So it is like a bit of a Douse House flop, but Bilbin is still set on reinstating the Douse House, mainly making his father proud. But he thinks doing that through reinstating the Douse House is going to be the way.
Sure. And we've talked a lot about it too. Like, yeah, the Douse House is struggling because the Douse House was doing well. It's like that thing of like everyone else is seeing it at an unfortunate time for it where it's been struggling, but it's struggling because the city was giving them funds to help the community and then stripped it for its own entity, right? So it's like it's funneling its money elsewhere, and like you guys can't. Yeah, it's unrealistic for something like that to rely on people paying them after the fact to put out a fire. Like that's just it's
Well, I think in some way too, like the tension, like the party tension for that moment was not like it wasn't like it was about the Douse House, right? Like Bilbin, we believe in you. We believe in what you want to do, but we just don't necessarily think that this vehicle that you've attached yourself to is the best way to do that. And
That's
so
fair.
I think that kind of became like
Yeah, and I think Bilbin kind of realized that in a way, which was a cool moment with Oz.
Well, and it brought, I mean, yeah, I think it brought rage into your
For sure.
scope of view. But I also think, your Oath of Devotion, is that correct?
Yep.
And so it's like you've been devoted to, you're a paladin whose devotion has been to such a very specific thing. And it's like, okay, cool. Like, I think it's like, okay, cool. What is Bilbin's actual goal though? Like, because you still want to do good, even if the Douse House closed. Bilbin to me seems like his, he cares about fire, he cares about helping people. It's like, what is your actual oath to, and like what is the call you're trying to answer? And so I think that's stuff that we frankly haven't even explored a ton yet. But I think that's like a cool futures thing that I foresee is just what is Bilbin's calling.
Pretty cool that there's a bunch of stuff we haven't explored. Very fun.
So much.
There's
And
still like so much that we don't know about each other, which I think is like really, really fun.
shit. There's
Even
shit I
though-
didn't know about me after this
Yeah.
past episode. Fuck.
I liked
yeah.
that. That's
Oh,
one
shit.
of my favorite parts.
yeah, we didn't talk about Riptide. That was
Very cool.
Dude, he's so cool.
dude, your village was burned down by probably other people.
Yeah.
We got to learn about the
Witch hunters?
Desperati.
Yeah, dude.
Absolutely named
Fucking-
after the Eagle song. It had to have been, right?
Yeah, obviously. They sound very Eagles coded.
Yeah, they just they're bards.
Are you sure
They're
it's not the
bard
Jetsons?
witches.
That's why they're bad. That's why they're evil.
No Bards Allowed.
No bards allowed.
Just as a reminder, we actually can't have any bards in here. Contractually obligated.
Yeah, we signed a contract with the devil for warlock powers, and so we actually he didn't specifically said no bards allowed.
Part of our pact is
Which might be some
Absolutely.
lore about the name of the podcast. Sheesh. I don't know. Maybe that's canon. Maybe
You're
it's
learning
not.
a lot about us. We all have little horns.
Yes.
Little cloven hooves and some little spiky tails.
Yeah, in case you're wondering what he looked like, it's not at all what you pictured.
Mhm. We're
pictures of
not
us
even
online,
humans
not
anymore.
real.
We're recording this in the pit of hell.
yeah.
AI.
We're in Avernus.
I feel like, one of my favorite moments of the campaign was having Oz be familiar with Dublain, like jumping all the way back to the beginning. Like I think Dublain was a really like fun way to jump into the campaign, but like one of my favorite things was the fact that you, like your aunt was there and like you had stake in that place. And even like I think it was one of those things where like we had kind of vaguely addressed it, but like your relationship to Omar and like the history was something that I think you and I just role played out as we played. And I think that made Dublain feel so much more personal than it maybe could have. Like it gave even more stake to the situation, which was really fun.
Yeah, it was fun. It's cool. You know, that's like the fun thing about like homebrewing and like having different backstories and stuff, and like you can connect your characters to like certain things, and even if you don't think about it prior to starting the game, like you can always just like in the session when you're talking about certain things, like, oh yeah, like my character definitely probably did this, or like, you know, they had connections to that person or whatever, and you can just like kind of, we're really good at riffing off of each other like that when we play too. My favorite moment I think probably would be like, dude, I loved beating the shit out of David in the fucking fighting ring, bro.
It was so gratifying to watch you beat the shit out of him too.
The professor.
A fight that I was like,
yeah, that was one of my favorites. Yeah. You announcing yourself as the professor and then being like, yeah, so fucking badass.
I mean, truly like a fight where I was like, he was clearly not trying to kill anyone in that moment, but like, absolutely a powerful dude on his own, and like
we were so close to cooking that fucking bird.
It's true.
Fried chicken wings.
Yeah, that chicken wings.
Yeah, that was a crazy. Yeah, like going from, it was fun to go from meeting David as this imposing person with you all at level 1, 2, and then like even like a couple level, like at level 1, y'all would have been toast if you tried to fight that guy. And so like leveling up 2 times and being like, oh cool, like they have ways to hold their own. Like this is, it was a fun, like, even that. We talk about it all the time. I think everyone that plays D&D talks about it, but level 1 and level 2 are some of the worst levels to play out because it's fun to start an adventure at a low level for like the storytelling of it all, but you're so squishy and killable at level 1. Like,
the amount of parties that have been killed by shelves and also just 3 goblins.
Whoops. Yeah. I mean, truly. It was like, as a DM, in a lot of ways, first time, like I'd run some one shots and stuff, but really like first time DMing anything with any sort of length like that in like first level for sure. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to find ways to give them fucking extra hit points and potions. Like I'm not going to let this be a TPK right out the gate because wow, that would have sucked.
I know, like, personally, one of the hardest combats I've ever run was just, like, 6 orcs.
Oh, yeah. I remember.
I recall. 6 orcs against a bunch of level 1 people is honestly pretty bad.
Yeah,
well,
but then,
Yeah, level 1, you just don't have a lot of options, because I think the other thing that we've talked about a lot lately is, like, you know, balancing combat for parties when it is, like, a group of people who, you know, more than average about how this game works. Like, you know, like that Daven fight, like there was a chance that we got our asses handed to us, but like there's been several combats we've played, you know, in home games or one shots or whatever, or even this lately where it's like, oh, you're not mechanically supposed to be able to win this, but like, dude, you give a bunch of like level anything like players like free reign and like they'll figure out a way.
Absolutely.
They always do.
They always do.
Until they don't.
Don't say it like that.
Yeah, and then like we can keep talking about like favorite moments, but I'm also curious what people feel like, you know, like
least favorite moments.
Well, no, I was gonna say
let's get out the red pins.
Yeah, tell me what I've done wrong. I know I've done a lot. So, no, I think like as the person like that's running the game and is, you know, you've all built the world with me, but you know, I'm still, you know, planning shit and like, you know, have the only one with the bird's eye view of what's to come. What has gone as you expected so far, and like were there any like surprise things that really like caught you off guard or surprised you as we played?
Well, I didn't get to say one of my favorite things. Which is,
please, I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you.
You fuck.
You absolute menace. How could you forget about me? I like the whole Patrick to Finster thing. Getting to choose a feat that is relatively not super helpful. But having it be like such a fun role play thing and then getting to be like rewarded by that in gameplay is very fun. And also like getting to like follow a thread of a story in a different way, I think is really cool. Like
Sure.
the cook of a town being involved in a whole like political plot and like demonic thing, but getting to see it from such a like rudimentary perspective of here's the ramifications of adventuring is there's going to be somebody that's trying to run a restaurant and they can't because the crops are spoiled because some, crazy thing is going on and it's cursed. That was really fun to me, especially for like a low level character.
Piggybacking off that too, like one of my favorite things was, and I think we touched on this a little bit earlier, but the way that like Duplain was very much like an eye opener, as a partaker and listener for like Oz's character. Oz has history there and whatever, and then we move into Duplain and Duplain's a foodie haven, and like that opened up so many like windows to like learn more about
Demerara,
Arthur.
yeah.
Demerara, sorry, Demerara, and then we get to New Samaritan, which is where Bilbin's from, and so we like get a lot more context for the character that Bilbin is, and like the way that is naturally flowed, in this first arc of like learning more about these characters and like ways that don't feel like pigeonholed and forced. Like it's just like, oh, this is the world we're in and these characters live in this world. So here's how we're going to like figure out more about them.
I think it's cool for like all of us individually and individually looking at each other of getting to see both ourselves reflected in the world and each other's characters reflected in the world based on the choices we made, which is, as much as anybody can fucking hope for from the game, I think.
Well, and I feel really grateful that we're all friends, as we've talked about a lot, but like truly like all such good friends, like not afraid to communicate, not afraid to tell, like these folks have not been afraid to tell me when they want something different or need more, or like I didn't cover a thing they wanted to. And like that makes the game better. It's like, there's like, planning everything that's going to happen is awful and not what the game's about. But like also like saying, well, I want to see this for my character. Like it's so, as somebody who's running a game, it's makes my life like it's made my life easy because I get to say, oh, cool. All the players are looking at me, giving me very specific, reasonable requests about what they want to see in this world. So it's made it easy to say, well, like I don't, I like all reality. I built a map before I built a story. And so like I started designing this world and thinking, oh, this would be cool. And this is like the type of town I wanted. And I knew like general sizes and stuff, but what they evolved into, so much of it came after we had started building characters for you all together and figuring out, well, cool, what should actually exist in all these spaces? And like, why is, I'd built, when I started building the story, I started building from the end and saying, well, cool, what are some ideas for bigger things going on? Because I think it's nice, you want to, figuring out how to like let information that you're not going to address until much later go is a hard thing to figure out.
So hard.
But it's like, well, my life has been made so easy by you all helping fill this world out and like, giving, I built a map and then we all got to build the space together. And I think that's really cool. So yeah, it's been, I agree with you. Like getting to do little things like taking the feat of chef and finding ways to make it worthwhile and impactful is just fun. I mean, it's like, that's the beauty of this game, right? There's a million ways you can play it. There's no wrong answers. And so we're just, out here doing our best. And I feel like it's been, we've had so much fun so far. I think that's really what it is. We're just grateful to, hey, if there's 10 of you listening, that's fine. And like, we've just had so much fun no matter what.
We're doing this for us. We're not doing it for anybody else.
We will be playing this game regardless.
Yep.
So.
Truly. Well, cool. Yeah.
Going back to your question, like what things that surprise you, I think the one thing I'm thinking of is in Demerara, like the underground castle passageways that was there before the church. Like I thought there'd be a little bit more into going into that, but I also was surprised on like how I didn't expect there to be like mushrooms being involved, like the myconids. I thought there was some dirty stuff going on with the priestess and church or like higher ups or something. But yeah, it was kind of cool seeing the Myconids being tied into that somehow. It was
Oh yeah, well, and like Myconids are like that perfect thing of like they're not good or bad. They're just trying to survive, right? Like they were involved in doing bad things to this community, but they were being tortured and like punished. And so it's like, what are creatures willing? What's a and like Myconids fairly intelligent creatures ultimately, especially their elders. Like, you know, it's like, cool. What's a clan leader basically willing to do to protect its kind, its people? And so,
well, and that's too a theme that I don't want to get like, you know, put the cart too much ahead of the horse, but like I feel like that theme is already starting to play out on a grander scale in Bordura, in sense of like, you know, like New Samaritan. It's like, okay, what's his name? Goody Two Shoes. What's the guy who died?
New Samaritan. Oh, Vox Morgood.
Morgood.
Mm-hmm.
Goody
Like,
Two Shoes.
what is Morgood willing to do for the good of what he perceives to be the good of his people, and then like how that trickle down effect affects people like Bilbin Billings, who are seeing, you know, the life that, you know, they had planned for themselves start to fall apart. And it's just like how, like, you know, no one effect in any living world is like isolated. Like everything has a trickle down effect. Everything has a spreading like ripple. Yeah, I don't know.
Morality is always, you know, used by anybody. Like I think that's the like interesting thing of like lawful evil a lot of times just looks like good depending on your perspective, and lawful good can be evil because ideals are always going to be twisted, and like getting to see Myconids who are neutral being twisted, and getting to see people that are lawful being twisted, and like how that affects everything else is always fascinating. Getting to like be in the middle of it as just adventures and being like, we're kind of also responsible for twisting morality too.
Well, and some of that's on like, some of that's on us. Like we've all created characters that are not, you know, clean cut one way or the other. Like I would say Bilbin is like the closest to a lawful character we have, maybe, but even like Bilbin's going through shit. So like,
Bilbin took his axe and golf club swing that lady's head off or something like that.
I didn't get to put one out. That's my singular favorite moment of Arc 1. Is,
I think,
you know,
I
like
think
a
well,
golf swing.
I'll be fucked.
Yeah,
is
it's
my
truly
favorite.
well, I'll be fucked. What was the context of that? It's been so fucking long.
was that not the Myconid fight?
No,
it was
that.
Duplain.
that was
sure.
Duplain, and I think I just like
You learned some information. I think
Wow. I think it was it when I didn't want to eat the soup or whatever because it was too hot.
yes.
And then you're like, well, I'll be fucked. We might have something in common after.
Yeah, I think that question of morality is cool, and I also think it's cool that talking to some of those Outer Rim, tier 3, correct?
Man, who fucking knows?
Tier,
at this
whatever
point?
tier it is.
Wasn't
yeah.
it tier 3?
I think tier
I
3
I don't know my
is the
map in
richer
front of me,
tier.
and honestly, I don't. I think it's outer ring, third tier, second tier, central hub, whatever the fuck
Okay,
it's
so
called.
like it's cool to see though and interact with people and like mention the Guardians of Salvation. They're kind of like, dude, those guys, and it's cool to see like that kind of back and forth of people that are like pro Guardians of Salvation that you've set up, as well as people that are like fuck these guys, like we don't really like them. So it installs this sort of like, the Guardians of Salvation are in New Samaritan City and around, but there are still people that maybe think differently about them in more than just like Bilbin or more than just like a couple people.
Yeah, well, and even the arc we've had with them, where we went from going like, dude, Guardian of Salvation, definitely fucking evil, and then like we get our asses handed to us, they save us, and then like Saren's interaction with Riptide was like unexpectedly, I guess familiar is the word I'll use.
Sure.
Like I was not expecting that level of warmth, however little it may have been. Like I wasn't expecting that sort of like familiarity from Riptide. So like even that was just like, oh, these aren't like again, it's not black and white. These aren't just like monsters
Correct.
terrorizing, Bordura. Like these are also just people. This is an organization,
Yes.
but like these are real people. That
I think that's what's cool about the Guardians is that they're not maybe inherently evil, because they do good, but
more
it's-
good.
More
Not
good.
anymore.
More good might
anymore.
actually be less good because he's dead.
No, I think someone else did more good. They didn't do him.
It felt really bad to present a beautiful half-orc man and kill him right away. I was
Fan
so-
I know. I
Theory.
was like literally writing out the description. I was like, can't wait to meet this guy later.
yeah,
It's gonna be
it would have been cool.
Yeah,
Would've
should have
been cool.
known.
We have
Should have
a-
known you were gonna kill him.
We have a
Hey,
B.
Should have fucking known.
I do crazy stuff sometimes.
B, we have actually a write-in from a fan. Dirty Martini 20
Perfect.
says
Wonder who that could be.
fan theory. Morgood isn't dead.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, what do you have to say about that, DM?
We said he was dead.
Yeah, but you said he was dead, but we didn't
No,
see a cold
Ava
body.
said he was dead.
Who,
Yeah, we're getting fed. We're
gonna
getting
be
fed
honest,
the information.
Don't trust her at all.
Don't trust her at all.
Don't trust
All
her.
I'm saying is, I think Dirty Martini 20 is on to something.
Who knows? Only way to find out. We got to keep playing. You know.
I
So-
can't wait to
yeah.
meet Zombie more good.
Dude,
That really
imagine
will.
if he's Dracula.
Yo, Omar,
Cool.
your sister's sus, dude.
So true.
Dude, I
Sus.
will say for whatever
Well, and
it's-
Omar seemed to. I mean, I not to like jumping back to the beginning too. I think Omar like. I think I had tried to play it this way, and it's been a while. But
He always hated his sister.
no, not even that. I think Omar like in the same way that Samantha talked about it, and like it was fun to like get to role play you, getting to talk to her in like a safe space where she could like open up a little bit more as just a person. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like I think similar sentiments of like, oh, this isn't the person that like this isn't like my sister's different now, and like who knows the reasons why that happens. It could be fucking something like Shay suggested. It could be working as a cog in an organization has just like totally shifted your worldview. Like who fucking knows? So
Bureaucracy weighs heavily on the shoulders of those who are in it.
yeah, but Dirty Martini 20, that's an awesome question.
Thank you so much. Keep those questions coming, guys.
Oh, it says
Thank you.
It says fuse next to it.
No, I wouldn't pay attention. I would pay more attention to the username.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is Dirty Martini
for sure,
20.
for sure.
I do think it's interesting that this is like for all of the threats that we've run into and like the foreboding evils that have been lurking under the surface, like this, like episode 19 was the first time between the Vox getting assassinated and I'm gonna fuck this up every time. What are the evil witches called?
The Coven?
Desperados.
Despacito.
Despacitos.
Desperati.
Desperados.
Sorry, it took
Arthur
me.
Page
Sorry, it
Llewellyn
took me a
CC
second.
will
like
be
I
out.
just sung.
But like this is we're finally starting because for the first like arc of this, like right, there was no like overarching evil. And not to say that like that's what this is exactly, but like now like we're looking at threats that like we haven't even seen yet, but we know they're around, and so it's the stakes seem to be raising as we
Well, and like you said,
we now have one less party member.
but like you said, B, I think it's cool that yes, Bilbin was like, "Hey guys, let's go to Breakwater." There's a thing I got to do there. It's cool that both Saren and Arthur have reasons to go there, so it's like, oh, it makes cool sense story wise for them to tag along to see what happens. Because like right now, I feel like the party was like, all right, screw Bilbin's like Douse House thing.
I don't think it's that specific. but I hear you.
Not like in a like, yeah, we don't want anything to do with it anymore. But they're like, okay, maybe this is less our priority, but if that becomes a secondary objective for these two, then maybe like, yeah, we'll be there. But I think it's cool that you also created a moment for them to want to go to Breakwater as well, so that the party could stay together. Story wise, it makes sense.
Oh,
and then
yeah.
Oz, of course, is becoming like an 18th level wizard or something off in wherever. In Bastion.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate like both like watching, I've had not everyone in this room be a DM for me, but most of our room, like we've like all DM for each other. We have a really fun setup where we all get to run games, and we also consume a lot of D&D media, like plenty of other people. So it's like, yeah, I always want to try to make sure that, y'all have things to do, and it doesn't always have to be big things, but yeah, like we're going to a new space. Not everyone always has to have, people have arcs, and like sometimes like you prioritize one person's thing as it's more pressing over the other. But like, yeah, it's always good to have things for people to work on. And so I think that just makes the game more fun when everyone should have something to explore and like something that they're after as you traverse. Like, it doesn't.
No, I'm just a farmer.
And we know that, Arthur.
I'm just here to hang out.
And we know
and
that.
have a good time.
Absolutely.
That's all I'm here for.
But yeah, are there things about your characters that have surprised you? Like from like when we started designing, or maybe didn't surprise, like things that are like feel like this is exactly what I expected, or like things that feel different? Because like we designed character, like any campaign, like you talk over things, and you all did a great job of coming up with backstory and giving me information and like letting me tie your stories into this world and really focus this world on your stories. But are there things that you thought your character was going to be, or things they were going to do that feel like they've changed, or things that you weren't expecting out of your characters?
I mean, I definitely thought Sarah, like, I made the joke a few times, I think, early on about, like, wishing passive intimidation was a thing. Like, I really thought Saren was going to be a lot more of a badass. And, like, as it sort of, like, fleshed out, like, the way Saren has sort of evolved into, like, the most non-violent member of the party,
Sure.
I think is interesting. Like, not necessarily, like, the party healer, but, like, definitely, like, the party diplomat, maybe.
I mean, you went and saved Reynard in the first thing. I mean, I think you are, yeah, absolutely. I think it's cool. Like Saren, I feel like you found a really cool tone to take with Saren and like have stuck with it in a very fun way.
Well, and I think that like a lot of that came from like the way you tied in like Meizaka into like all the witch elements. And I think it's like very much like, it's also, I mean, again, just going back to like party interaction, like the way like Oz's hunt for knowledge is sort of like both been imparted on and just like meshed with like Saren's like, I don't know like what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm looking for, but like I'm looking for something. And I think that's been like, it's been interesting just to watch like as like, we kind of like have our little skirmishes and like, go on our little trek across Bordura. Like Saren is like still really not figured out any of what he is on the grander scale supposed to be doing, but like kind of knows, I mean, up until now, at least, felt like he had a handle on like what his role was in this group, and I'm sure that's going to shift now that our group dynamic is shifting a bit.
Yeah,
but
there's like a cool air of wisdom that comes from the youngest party member, which is Saren.
Right, which is ironic,
very
but, like,
ironic, but also very cool. Of like,
I also think I am mechanically the highest wisdom character in
For
this
sure.
group.
And I was thinking about it during the last session we played in 19 of the way you portray Saren's wisdom is really fascinating because I was like, oh, he's always the one asking the really insightful question.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Which
I really like that. Like you asked a couple questions in 19 where I was like, ooh, that was exactly the thing that you should have asked. Like that was just a really good question to ask, which is really fun.
Hell yeah.
And I feel like I've enjoyed as like Arthur getting to be the like fucking older dude, getting to see this young kid like, man, this guy's got some fucking shit going on. It's very
well,
cool.
I think that's a cool dichotomy too, because Arthur's like old enough. You know how like old people like don't need to censor themselves because they're old.
Yeah,
like they've been through
sure.
enough. Like
Yeah.
Arthur kind of gets to just say whatever the fuck he wants, and like Saren's kind of in that like timid like, I don't know if like I should be saying this, but like, can I just ask like, X, Y, and Z. And like, I feel like kind of playing that like, oh, I'm the youngest person in the group. I have the least like sway, probably in whatever situation. But like, can I just ask the thing that no one's asked yet? Like, do you mind?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Whereas like Arthur's willingness is like, Arthur's always very kind, but like when like when you got the vibe from Stan at Sambu back in Demerara, you were like, oh, you're being rude. Like, we're not doing this right now. And like,
I think
what
that,
a fun thing.
Yeah, that's been one of the things that's been surprising to me about playing Arthur is those moments of like, I went into it being very much like, he's kind of like happy-go-lucky guy. Like, obviously there's more to it than that, but like very much the polite Southern hospitality, like, treats everybody in a good way, wants you to be nice, wants to be nice to you. And the like moment where somebody wasn't, I was like kind of surprised at how easily it was for him to be like, all right, I'm going to give you your energy back to you. And then again with like Ava as well, I was like, okay, this is the vibe for him. Like it's very much a two-way street.
Which is like Arthur's age and like accumulated wisdom of like being able to read the room, like understanding like what someone is giving you and how to give it back like quickly, I think is fucking awesome.
That's been a fun like dial of charisma to play. Less of like I'm schmoozy. I'm like, I'm going to be your favorite person, and more of just like, I've just been in social situations for so long.
Yeah.
I know dynamics.
Well, I've had this conversation so many times.
I am literally the fifth child of 15. Like, I know how this goes.
Which is funny with like Bilbin coming in and having a young wise man, an old charismatic, but also streets like like you just said,
no street smarts,
0 street smarts. But you've seen like
doesn't
so many
know about ribbon
conversations.
cuttings.
No, doesn't know about ribbon cuttings.
You can read, but Arthur reads energies of people so well.
Yes,
for sure.
And then you have Bilbin, a little bit headstrong, a little bit set in his ways, rather brackish. However, is still able to like maybe lead the party in certain directions that they might not go, because like, why would you go there? But like maybe Bilbin has a sense of like proudness that he wants to like prove.
I mean, Bilbin is the party's audacity. Like Bilbin is like,
I would say
the thing that like the rest of us might be
isn't.
like a little like kind of like tiptoeing around. Bilbin's like, well, fuck, why don't we just this? And like that's been.
There's also an earnestness to, I mean, all of you in different ways, but Bilbin, like there's an earnestness to how you carry yourself, and like I think it is. I hope, because of the way that I've interpreted the way you're playing Bilbin this entire time, is like Bilbin often doesn't say the right thing necessarily, but it's never because he's trying to say the wrong thing. Like Bilbin is trying to be aware and like, I think learning. I mean, I think you grew up in a, like for as much of a, you grew up in a huge city, but you live in your bubble and you see the same people every day. And so I feel like Bilbin is in a lot of ways getting out of the world for the first time and seeing different point of views and like being checked by people that maybe didn't grow up where you grew up. And I think it's a really, I mean, Bilbin, I feel like has gone through, I think you're working on the growth part, but I think you've experienced a lot of new things, maybe more than anyone in the, first part of this campaign. And
I mean, Bilbin and 19 being like, yeah, sometimes I misgender people to their face. I'm working on it. It's like
literally
huge
like,
growth over Bilbin.
A couple of very self-realistic moments from Bilbin.
I think I honestly, and I almost attribute that to Oz in a way of like, I think that Oz moment was a true like step back for Bilbin to realize what he thinks and how he thinks. And maybe it took him until his 30s to realize that. And yes, having a kind of traumatic childhood where my father died, like maybe I like pushed off a lot of those things that I needed to do to become more self-aware in that sense. And then like moments like the Oz and Bilbin moment helped him realize that. So
but again, cool. Like it's that beautiful, like even as simple as like Catwin knowing that you don't like her to light the fire while you're out of town. That's like an inherent moment of like, cool, Bilbin is his core a protector of people. And so like he is always, even if things don't go how he expects, or even if the world is different than he perceives it at times, like Bilbin has always got people at his forefront, so much. So I think, that's been really cool. And then I don't know. Yeah. What about Oz? Do you feel like, I don't know. You've played Oz in a lot of ways for me, the way that I expect you to play Oz, but like, were there things that surprised you about your character growth and like how Oz viewed the world or interacted with people as we played through this? Or do you feel like it was pretty like straight line for you?
So, I mean, like, I don't think it's been like a huge change from what I originally wanted to play Oz, but I didn't really know how his personality was going to be. Like I didn't want to be like too stereotypical wizard, but I wanted to have like those classic wizard tropes, especially picking the Order of the Scribes. I knew that he was going to be a bookworm, and I wanted to play him with, give him a little bit more of an interesting personality tweak. While he, like he's a wizard. Yeah, he was a professor, whatever, bookworm. But he, there's a side of him that he grew up in a maritime town and has like this past, and like, he really enjoyed sailing and going on adventures and stuff when he was in his youth. I mean, he's in his mid-30s, so he's not like super old or anything, but when I started playing him, it was cool to actually like kind of start to flesh out and build more of a personality to him, and like he's not very perceptive, but he's meticulous and he pays attention to details, and he's not the type of person to like wear his heart on his sleeve, but he romanticizes magic in an emotional way.
Sure.
And it's not like Gale of Waterdeep romance. It's like theatrical romanticism of magic, but it's more. It's
fuck magic.
it's like a way where it's like it's much in a way that like a druid sees their magic connection to nature. Like he sees magic in different ways that maybe some people wouldn't necessarily see magic. Like especially like, how he describes in the letter to Arthur about like ways magic can surface into the world, like there's different ways that it could happen. But yeah, like that's like a thing that surprised me when I was thinking more about how Oz interacts in with magic in the world. And it was fun. It kind of was cool too, like to have, I was like, like doing like the scene in the ring and how angry he got, and also, kind of lashing out at Bilbin, having a wizard with kind of like a grit, like a kind of like a edginess to him is kind of cool too.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think seeing that like that emotional connection to magic, like from Oz, has like obviously tied in really well to Arthur's character arc, but like
I mean, single-handedly convinced Arthur to not, in some ways, hate himself for part of himself.
Yeah, but like has also like, and again, Saren being the child of this group, like is impressionable by everyone, but like very much has looked up to Oz in the sense of like Oz's understanding of magic, the way Oz talks about magic, the way Oz like learns magic, like all of those are things that Saren has outwardly or not been internalizing, and those are things that will inform like Saren's journey ongoing, is like, just that understanding of magic and how it's not, even for a wizard who, especially with your father being an artificer, like stereotypically it's rules, it's equations, it's, this equals that. And I think that emotional aspect of it is something that like is not common in wizards, but I think is a just brilliant fucking take on magic.
Yeah, it's
and
fun.
seeing that, like the way that like the order of scribes thing of the attention to detail, in the way that you became like a mirror of truth for every single one of us, was so cool. And like your emotionality and grit in it was awesome, because you're like, I'm the bitch that'll say what needs to be said no matter what, and you do it so well. And it's always the like, when it hurt Bilbin, he took a second, he was like, you're right, like, what you're saying is not just truthful, untruthful, whatever.
It was hard to hear.
It's not a lie.
It was hard to hear, but it was like, it was the truth of the situation. It was the logistical approach to the situation, which was really cool.
Giving us like literally just being like, I will see the things in yourself that you need to learn to grow and become better. I was like, man, this is really cool.
Even further evidence by the letters.
For
like,
sure.
Again, like Oz seeing things that like weren't necessarily apparent like in the overarching narrative, but also like to like each of our characters, like
the chosen one over here, as we
I don't know about that, but certainly like the nightmares bit.
Child of destiny.
Fucking Saren has never discussed his nightmares with anybody in the party, but like obviously like for someone with an attention to detail was like looking out for it, like you would have known that.
There's the morning where you slept in and you were late to the party. Like that's like something that Oz would clock.
Yeah,
for sure. Being with a passive investigation, it's like a high passive investigation. It's like those attention to details are just things that he would clock.
But like being very on it as a player, I think was really cool to see, of like the small ways of noticing things and choosing to role play about them was so like fucking
It's fun.
Oh yeah,
D&D, baby.
D&D,
Oh, yeah.
baby.
All right.
D&D.
If there's anything else we haven't talked about that I've asked about so far, great. Otherwise, finishing up, big bold predictions for what's to come. Anyone have any big sweeping ideas, claims, realistic, unrealistic? What do we think is going to happen?
I think I'm with Dirty Martini 20 in that more good is not dead.
Morgoth's not dead.
Morgan's not dead.
2025. Morgoth's not dead.
I think that's an option.
I think Arc 2, Episode 1, every party member gets legendary actions.
Yeah, no, I think that too.
too.
Also, wondrous items upon entering Breakwater,
Bitch, you just bought a wondrous item.
That is true.
but more.
But more.
Y'all are gonna find some information when you guys get to Lift, and it's gonna turn out that she's actually on the run from the Faefather for something that he did to her family, and the ring has something to do with it.
yeah.
I think
yeah.
definitely that.
Wix
yeah.
is definitely like, we're not. turning
Prediction number 1, moral quandary. Prediction number 2, pirate shit.
I was going to say,
Yes,
grand
pirate
prediction.
shit.
I think we're going to stumble on the missing piece that Oz has been looking for Oz's little treasure hunt.
Okay,
And when we
okay.
all come back together, we're going to figure that shit out. But I
Like
think
that?
we're going to stumble
Yeah.
on like,
Dude, y'all might meet my older brother.
Ooh, I sure hope so. I
And
can't
you-
wait to
hey,
meet Oz's
Might meet your
family.
other brother too. Who knows?
Yeah,
And your dad.
Fair. And
Getting
my
to
daddy.
meet the guy that made the guy. Woo. Cool.
the guy that made the guy.
Yeah.
Cool stuff.
Yeah. Any
Do we think that?
man, I will say I was really hoping, and anybody listening may or may not know anything about this, but I was really hoping for some cameos
Some sex?
while we were in Hearthmounds.
Oh.
Cameos.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
Hearthmounds.
Well, you weren't in Hearthmounds. You
I
saw Hearthmounds
know,
on the
but I was
horizon.
when you said Hearthmounds, then it was like it's in Hearth. I was like,
Ooh, oh yeah.
For hey,
The bitter
those of you,
beans.
those
Get
of you
to see the
listening,
bitter beans.
Yeah, there might be there's a one shot that was recorded at some point with.
Are we gonna
most
release
of
that?
Maybe at some point. It was most of us. Shay was sadly not there because he was working, and we had another pal sit in.
we had
and-
Chappie sit in.
Chappy.
Aye, choppy, mate.
But yeah, we the kind of like the first test recording that we ever
Yeah.
did just to check our like studio
to
setup
see if we could do this.
to see if we could do this.
Which we can.
Did take place in Bordura in Little Hearthmounds that was
Mm-hmm.
mentioned. So yeah, we'll see if that ever. It was real clunky, I think.
I think it
was
went
fun, though.
exactly as it should have went.
we had fun. I
We
think.
all had fun.
Yeah. So yeah, we didn't. Yeah, you didn't make it to Hearthmounds. Maybe at some point, but yeah,
we were
you
like on the outskirts.
you were on the edge. Yeah,
Okay.
Hearthmounds was a little further south than you made it before you got to the windmill with the old satyr.
Dude, I was ready to see Burl Jr. just ripping it up in Hearthmounds, dude.
dude, honestly,
It
yeah,
was- that
yeah.
wasn't the same windmill from that session, right?
No, 'cause
No,
that
that
was
was
south of
south.
Hearthmounds.
Okay.
That was on the way to the Deepwood.
Okay.
Um,
Cool little
Which
nod.
where a place we might go eventually. Apparently,
Cool.
maybe
I just want to sail the high seas with Oz's family
Oh my god.
that's
That's all
certainly
I
an
want.
option.
and fight
not a
those
stretch.
fires.
Could happen.
I'm gonna prediction number 3. I am gonna try to romance Oz's dad.
Yes.
Let's go.
Guidance.
Thank you.
Sick. Let's go. Yeah, that'll be easy. That's already gonna happen.
Yeah, no problem.
Hell yeah. All right. Well, if no one else has any other big bold,
prediction number 4.
Yeah,
New
bring it.
Samaritan is gonna be under like martial law when we
Dude,
get back.
facts, bro. Actually, yes. I think Ava is going to be like, oh, actually, I'm the leader now.
Davin's gonna start causing trouble,
Correct?
and they're gonna have to claim martial law.
But here's the thing. What if going back to deliver said ring from the Harengon, what if like the Faefather's the only like resistance of that city now? Then you have an interesting dichotomy
freedom
of like,
fighters,
Oh,
freedom fighters.
I've signed a contract with this like who knows what, but maybe that's the only option to save New Samaritan City is to sign like continue that contract.
Prediction number 5. We put the Faefather in charge of New Samaritan City.
what
For real
Vox,
this time.
Vox Faefather,
Vox Faefather.
Yes,
Fox
I'm down.
Daddy.
Vox Father. Hell yeah, I like that.
Well, one way to find out.
Yeah. All right. Well, hell yeah. Well, shit. This has been a very long Bardic Conversation. A little glimpse of what we do on the Patreon.
Is that it? We don't have anything else to talk about?
If you want to, if anyone else has any other stuff they want to talk about, we
I
can.
don't know.
What do we? I mean, there's like I haven't touched the shit I got with my level 4 level up, but
Yeah.
we'll get there.
Yeah.
I'm just excited that like we now have finally like more openly talked about Saren's witchy stuff.
Yeah,
Which I feel like hasn't really been discussed before. And I think you like talking with another person obviously like, makes be like, oh, I guess I should talk about this. And I'm like, now as also somebody like as a character, I'm like, I'm excited to get to interact with that.
Well, I think part of that
what
too.
does that mean to you?
Like something that we touched on with Riptide was like, witches aren't like just fucking out and about. Like it's kind of a not fully hush hush, but like covens typically live like kind of askew or like aside from like the rest of like the society that creates things like New Samaritan City. So I think it's we'll certainly be seeing more of it probably, especially if Saren starts going hunting down some of these covens. But it's
I like it. Witches in this world feel to me like if druids also did a bunch of LSD.
That reminds me of a question. Does I know like
They want to be away from society even more.
Riptide is also a druid.
You probably would have gathered that they
they
were in,
wild
they were in
shaped,
a
so I
wild
assume.
shape when you met them, so you would assume that you maybe share that as well.
I guess we can take this above the table. Because I know Saren obviously is a witch druid multi-class. Is that like?
Not everyone. No, I mean you're.
I was because I know like witches. I mean, in the source material that we're using, certainly don't have ties to druids necessarily, but I just didn't know if you were implying something more about like the nature of witches in Bordura, or
I think you would know and could gather that like witches in this are like very much more like they're out in nature and they're a little bit more, even more separated from society. I guess I would say in a lot of ways, like they are, and like who knows? You're young. Like again, this is stuff that we can explore, but it's like clearly there was more communication amongst the covens, but. Since you've been alive, basically this threat of this Disparati has come back. So there was out of some
Disparati's fucking casting burning hands out of a volcano, which is fucking nuts.
Who knows what they cast?
Or
Who
there
knows?
was just an entire red dragon.
Hey, he said he used the word cone.
You're
In
so
describing-
right.
He did.
Red dragon is a line. I get it. Oh, thanks for fact checking. Or
Plus-
no, red dragon's a cone.
What dragons?
Is Red Dragon a cone?
I
What
think red
dragons?
dragon's a cone.
Border doesn't have
Probably
dragons.
cone.
They're
They can
just
cone.
myth and legend.
Oh yeah, no dragons. No dragon.
Yeah,
Myth and
Saren
legend.
the Nothingborn.
Riptide's also a dragonborn.
Yeah.
He's a Nothingborn. There's no dragons.
Yeah. Riptide. He, they, both.
They.
Okay. Because you used he at one point. And I
Okay,
wasn't
okay.
sure
I
if
probably
it was,
did, and yes,
if it was
I-
they or
Maybe
he.
It is they.
And then
He, they.
Riptide's
they're
done by
a
Sith.
they're a white dragonborn,
Yes, I believe so.
Okay.
or are they a? I actually now that I say it out loud, I feel like they were a different color.
I don't remember.
Riptide's obviously now my favorite member of the Guardians of Salvation.
Yeah,
Badass druid witch dragonborn.
Yeah.
Cool. Name like Riptide. Come on.
Riptide.
Okay, I don't remember. Gold.
Ooh.
interesting.
Very cool.
interesting for reasons you'll find out later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Teaser. Find out next time on No Bards Allowed.
Well, probably not next time, but
Not next time,
eventually.
but
Find out
one
next
time.
time.
Eventually
on No Bards Allowed.
Bards Allowed.
All right. Well, shit. I guess we'll wrap it here. Shay, we'll see you on the pod eventually. We'll see you next week for
I
Hum
can't do
Game,
this again.
but-
We
I can't
got
do this.
something cooking up
He wrote
that'll have
letters. I can't
Shay
do
in
this
it at
again.
some point. So
Yeah.
don't you worry your pretty
Oh
little
yeah, there's a
heads.
little little side adventure that may or may not be happening.
Probably more too. Who knows? We'll probably do a bunch of shit.
Certainly more.
Yeah, man, this is just a few month break until I can figure out how to be a dad, and then,
Dude, I've heard it's
Which
really
you'll
easy.
probably
I've heard
get
it's
in, like,
easy.
You've been a dad
A
to this
quarter
group for
Yeah.
like
3 months. Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you only got to do it for like 6 months and then you're back in.
yeah, year tops.
I hear the more you drink, the better of a father you are.
oh yeah,
Oh, no.
Oh, Dart, your dad is not the example to pull from us.
Yeah, because my dad didn't drink at all. So
Damn.
Ooh.
Well,
And he's great.
on-
I don't want that to seem like I don't like my dad. Because
No,
if he's
I don't-
watching,
Yeah, I was
love you,
doing a
Dad.
shitty dad joke. It didn't play, but like that's fine.
I think we all were.
And on that
I've never
bombshell-
met Dart's
Yeah,
dad.
yeah. After that big announcement from Dart that they hate their father.
No.
Big thank you to Shay.
Hey, Dave, if you're listening, I love you.
The live studio audience is absolutely
Live
roaring
studio
in applause.
audience.
Yeah.
By the way, thank you everyone for attending.
Dirty Martini 20's here right now. That's
and
crazy.
Dirty Martini 19 and Dirty Martini
Oh
18.
my God!
and
All of the dirty martinis, our
All 20
entire
of them.
listening group.
Yeah,
love it.
that's actually my whole family. Thank
hell
you.
yeah.
Thank you for showing up, guys.
Yeah. Hey, we'll see y'all next week on the pod.
Next week we might take a little
you'll-
break. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. All right.
We'll see. We'll see you next
We'll
time.
see you
on the
next
pod.
time.
We definitely have our release schedule figured out.
No.
Which is
no,
good
no,
to
no.
know now that
We
we've
plan
been
way
releasing,
ahead.
and now you're hearing this after we have a release schedule. Great.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
All right. Love you all. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Stars.